Hello there, once again, Santon from Antano Bay, and I was lucky enough to finish out, finally, my run of Mantra Volume 2. I just recently completed my run of Mantra Volume 1, and I also completed my run of Mantra Volume 2, so I have the complete sets of both. I have not run through my entire old set yet, but I have done some videos on the old Mantra before, but I don't think I've really touched on Mantra Volume 2 that much. So, with that, here we're going to go. If you don't know, Mantra 2 is the blonde mantra. The one that's not a man stuck in a woman's body, but an actual woman. So, it starts at Black September. And if you don't know much about Black September, I could probably do a whole video on Black September. Basically, Malibu Comics, Ultraverse, Malibu Comics in total they're bought out by Marvel. Financial issues or whatever it was. And Marvel buys them in an event called Black September and ends all of their titles, reformulates some of them, and imprints them under the new Marvel Comics banner. These are still under Malibu, but they are technically a Marvel comic. Hence, you have all sorts of Marvel ads in them now and stuff like that. And they're printed more like a Marvel comic. So even though it says Malibu on there, these are Marvel, and they're kind of in the Marvel universe. You will see Marvel characters spring up through it. So it just starts out. The art is fantastic. These spread pages are glorious. Just look at that. That is great stuff. And all of the covers had, all of them were black covered for Black September. Beware the Ides of September. So this is the original mantra, or at least the mantra from the original series. Phantom 2040, never played that game. I've mentioned before how much I love East Coast Comics. I just loved their ads. They were so uninformative and cheap. Look at this. Check out that Star Slayer. 30 cents an issue. That's insane. Insane. Anyway, and this was in 95. 95, you're getting prices like that. This is an awesome mind-warping spread layout. And this is really creepy because this is her kid of the previous mantra being possessed by a weird creature. I do believe I have read some of these. I have not read all of them, so it's hard to really give you a plot synopsis. Just because the ones that I have read, it's been a long time since I've read them, and yeah. The best example of Marvel crossover was Juggernaut leading the Exiles, which the Exiles were originally Malibu, not Marvel. Yeah, that's just a cool cover. Anyway, so that's your Black September. Now this series, along with most of these Malibu titles, did not run very long. So there is only 7 issues to this series. I think Prime was probably one of their longest running ones, and or maybe Exiles, I think it might have ran 9. And Prime might have ran 10, I cannot remember. They did not last very long. And some of the titles like Freaks, Strangers, Hard Case didn't even get picked up by Marvel. They wouldn't touch them. One of my favorite books was The Solution. They never did that. I remember the Ultraverse cartoon. It was quite good. Yeah, I thought this book was cool. I kind of preferred it to the original mantra just because the whole I don't know, the shtick of the old ancient warrior in the woman's body was fun, but kind of it was a situational thing that just kind of started to grate after a while. I think you always had to remember that. It wasn't always written that way. But this was less confused, and I appreciated that. This is one of the issues I did not have. I didn't have issue 2. So it's hard to get into a series if you don't have issue 2, and really read a bunch of it. I didn't have 2. I think it was also issue 5 I didn't have. Out of a 7-issue series, those are pretty critical. to know what's going on. I wonder how Mile High got the rights to use these characters. I noticed that the woodchuck guy was creepy. And it is, in fact, a woodchuck. Phoenix Resurrection. I'm going to give it props. This book has better art than I remember it having. Like, I remember seeing the covers to a lot of them. I guess I don't remember like how good the art was inside. It's actually quite buoyant. What do we have here? We have a flip book. I did not know this. Phoenix Resurrection Chapter 4. This was a little thing that ran in the backside. I don't remember what the Phoenix Resurrection thing was because it was kind of hard to follow. I didn't have all of them. But as far as the Malibu book, there's Gateway. A Marvel character. Sneaks into here. And you're back to right side up. Malibu was a big fan of flip books. They had a lot of books that were upside down or whatever. Biodome. You know, it's terrible. I actually really liked the movie Biodome. It used to crack me up. I have no idea why. It's so stupid. There's a page in there somewhere, but it ain't flipping. They use lots of green lighting in this. Have you noticed? I mean, it's not the green people, it's just green lighting that gives off that vibe. Can't be mad at that. I do love the color green. I also, if I remember right, Blonde Mantra, on top of also being an actual woman in a woman's body and all that stuff, was considerably younger. Like, I think she was in high school or some sort of teenager, where the other Mantra was like a mom, like an older woman. Because I know she had kids and stuff. I think this one is actually, could be a kid herself. Yeah, I really need to give these a read. I've poured over the Malibu comics quite a bit. Like, I've read a lot of them numerous times. It was one of my favorite comic book lines back in the day. However, the Mantra books, the Solitaire books, and Firearm books are ones that I never picked up or never read. I don't know, I had a few and I would pick up them every now and then, just never really got into them. This guy's messing with Enemy. You should never ever activate him. He is a horrible, terrible, dreadful thing. If you don't believe me, you should read, I think it's Hard Case 16, 17, and 18. Takes him 3 issues to finally knock it down and defeat it. But it is, and it damn near kills him to do it. It's one of the best villains in the Malibu Ultraverse. It's just this big nanotech mechanized entity. And it is a killing machine. It is horrifying. It's adaptable. And it was one of my favorite Malibu bad guys, I guess you'd say. I always wish somebody would make a figure that does it justice. I have a couple of the original Ultraverse figures of Enemy, but he's not near big enough and he's not near scary enough. And, you know, I would love to see a big honking Enemy figure, which will never happen. Marvel doesn't seem to have any interest in doing anything with any of the Malibu characters at all, ever. So the odds of seeing anything from them is, you know, pretty much 0. Dave's Comics. I think I bought some comics from Dave's Comics once. Ugh, the Generation X movie. I never saw this. I've heard all sorts of things about how bad it was. It looked really bad to me. The action figures were really bad. Like, they didn't make any good Gen X figures from Toy Biz. I thought it was awful. That was just terrible. No excuse. Those figures should have been amazing. You already knew how to make good figures. You just chose not to do it. Hypernauts. I don't remember that. That is some things, you know, it's like, well, that's a big old spread there. I'm also pleased with how good a shape these books are in. I'm all around excited about them. And I admit, I have had them for a few weeks, just haven't been able to, or haven't had time to get around to doing them. I've had other books that I wanted to deal with and get made first and do some videos of and shoot. And it just wasn't anything that I had time to get to. I've been enjoying making all sorts of different kinds of videos. I know maybe some of you don't dig those, but I do. I remember this kid. I cannot remember his name. I hate it when I feel like I missed a page. Ugh, Gen X. And there's Juggy with the Exiles. It was a really good idea. I'm sorry it didn't last longer, because him being a good guy and leading a team, I thought that was great. Thor 500. Yeah, this was a rocky time in comic books. I think 95. If Marvel hadn't filed for bankruptcy by 95, I think they were getting ready to. I can't remember exactly what year they filed. It was later in the 90s. They filed bankruptcy protection and they went broke, and then they eventually sold a bunch of their characters, which was a real dumb idea, I guess. This guy looks, I mean, he's one of those speedsters, but he's like totally an Impulse ripoff. Because believe it or not, Impulse was actually popular for quite some time in the 90s. My brother was a big fan. He would read Impulse all the time. Here's the crew at Riverdale High. It almost looks like we've wandered into an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Witch Hunter, I think it ran just one issue. I think I just had one shot and I bought it. I have it somewhere, I think. Earthworm Jim. I used to have these on tape. These were great. Oh my gosh, that cartoon was excellent. Oof, that is it. That is the end. That is all of them. So that's 7 regular issues and Black September. That's all we had. We never had an annual. We never had anything like that. And that was the end of Mantra forever. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching, for sticking through the whole long video as we go through all the Mantra books. Let me know if you were a fan of this. You ever read it? I know these were extremely hard to find. I've been looking for them for a long time. Finally found all of them. I was able to finish it out. But if you were familiar with these, or if you ever read them or ever saw them on a news rack, let me know. I'd be interested to hear. Anyway, that's my story. Catch you guys later. Bye.